is Douglas Murray the closest thing we have in the UK to Ben Shapiro in terms of sort of convincing minds and things?
So I don't know. I mean, I've seen obviously both of them debating and on the media, and I don't know whether there's a parallel between them. They are great warriors for their causes. Sometimes I think they could be slightly calmer, if I may say so. Douglas Murray, I think, is calmer. And Ben Shapiro is very
scatterguns.
Yeah, it's like, I wouldn't want to be debating him because he would just nail me.
So fast, but they both would.
Yeah, they both
I
would.
think you'd be pretty good yourself, actually.
Well, I mean, I'm not I think I don't fire back at the speed at which they can fire. I need a bit of time to. I'm like a slightly slower machine.
They're almost inhuman, aren't they?
I mean, they're incredible. Their minds just work at such a pace, and they're just chucking out these.
Gosh.
But I'd like to. I mean, I try to the extent I can, and generally it fails to win over people I'm debating with. I'm not seeking to ridicule them and drag them through the mud and prove that I'm right and they're wrong. I want to try and make arguments that I hope that might find some fertile ground in their own minds. But it rarely works, because a lot of the things you and I are discussing come from so deep within ourselves that it's difficult to convince people otherwise.
I'd start tripping over my words as well. If I was debating one of those guys, I'd start to just go all over the place. The reason I ask actually is I wonder if, I know the UK now has GB News and I think Talk as well, Talk TV, which I don't believe is doing so well. I don't actually.
I think Talk Radio, they didn't do well as Talk TV. They're doing very well as Talk Radio.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. But it feels like, I wonder if actually maybe a Daily Wire equivalent. I don't know. Are you familiar with the Daily Wire?
No, I'm not.
That's Ben Shapiro's network, and then networks of podcasters and YouTubers, as opposed to GB News. GB News was a breath of fresh air in many respects, but it's also and it has a YouTube page which I think is doing well, but it's also sort of this TV channel which links it to the old world. And I wonder if like a Daily Wire here, led by a Douglas Murray or some sort of thing like that, would be really exciting.
I think it would be great. I think the more social media and media that we get out from our, what I call our side of the debate in a broader sense, and Douglas Murray is obviously, I think, my side of the debate, thank God. So if I go up against him, I think we'll be in violent agreement on most things. I think is great. But GB News fills a particular slot because it is beaming into the sitting rooms of people who are mostly watching Sky News and BBC, who would otherwise watch Sky News and BBC. So it's winning over a contingency that wouldn't perhaps necessarily be on social media and YouTubing and whatnot.
That's right. That's true. What about Tommy Robinson? What are your thoughts on him? Is it hard of him to convey the message, being maybe not educated in the same way as a Douglas Murray?
So Douglas Murray did a great little thing on Twitter. I don't know if you saw his thing. He said he described himself, Douglas Murray was speaking, and he described himself as being able to make his points from time to time, and people would listen from time to time, and he'd win his debates from time to time. But someone like Tommy Robinson from a working class background is ignored by the media, everyone, because of the way he presents and, his working class accent and all that kind of thing. And I think it is very challenging for someone like Tommy Robinson. And Tommy Robinson has been prepared to tackle head on issues which would have most of us, slightly uncomfortable about, shall I say. And so at that level, I think it is very difficult and challenging for Tommy Robinson. I don't know Tommy Robinson. I'm not an apologist for Tommy Robinson. Neither am I going to throw Tommy Robinson under a bus. He did some great work on revealing the Rotherham grooming gangs and so on. And I think there's a propensity. Again, I'm going to describe it as our side of the debate. There's a propensity for people on our side of the debate, which is an ideology that isn't of the establishment, in the pursuit of sanitizing itself to being acceptable as broadly as possible. There's a tendency to throw some of our own under a bus.
Yes.
And I think it's something that we need to resist. We need to be very careful about when we decide someone's gone too far. And we shouldn't be quick to judge, and we should delve deeper. And I don't know Tommy, so I'm not going to say this or that about him. I've seen him say I've seen some of his videos and debates, and actually, I think he's got better and better with the years. He speaks very well.